Before Vietnam became synonymous with jungle warfare, it was French Indochina, and France filled it with cast-off tanks from the last war. These were the obsolete, the outdated, the machines deemed good enough for colonial garrison duty in a humid backwater 9,000 miles from Paris. While Europe braced for Hitler, Indochina got the leftovers, armor designed for European hedgerows, now rusting under tropical monsoons. Let's begin with the infantry support tanks that formed the backbone of France's colonial armor. Renault FT-17. The Renault FT-17 was a genuine relic, a World War I veteran still standing guard in 1939. Its riveted hull and rotating turret were revolutionary in 1918, but laughably obsolete 20 years later. Garrison commanders kept them operational, more from stubbornness than strategic value. Renault R35. The Renault R35 represented France's idea of modern infantry support when shipped to Indochina in late 1939. Its thick armor and short 37mm gun made it decent against fortifications, but glacially slow at 12 miles per hour. The tropical heat turned crew compartments into ovens within minutes. Hotchkiss H-35. The Hotchkiss H-35 arrived as cavalry reconnaissance tanks, slightly faster than the R-35, but equally miserable in humidity. Its cast armor sections corroded at joints where tropical moisture penetrated French metallurgy. Crews reported mechanical failures within weeks of monsoon season. Hotchkiss H-39. The Hotchkiss H-39 was the H-35's upgraded cousin with a longer 37mm gun and slightly more power. French officers considered it their premium light tank for Indochina operations. Both variants proved hopeless on jungle trails designed for ox carts, not 7-ton steel boxes. Next up are the support and utility vehicles that kept colonial forces marginally mobile. Renault UE Chenilette. The Renault UE Chenilette was a tiny tracked supply tractor, essentially a motorized mule for ammunition. Its exposed driver sat vulnerably while towing trailers through plantation roads. The French deployed dozens across Indochina's scattered garrisons. Lorraine 37L. The Lorraine 37L served similar supply duties, but with better crew protection and cargo capacity. Its reliable engine made it one of few French vehicles that didn't immediately surrender to tropical conditions. Commanders valued these tracked carriers more than their combat tanks, continuing with the wheeled reconnaissance vehicles that dominated colonial patrols. Panhard 178. The Panhard 178 was France's modern armoured car, featuring a turret-mounted 25mm gun and four-wheel drive. Road-bound by design, it became useless once monsoons turned Indochina's routes into rivers of red mud. Its crews learned to hate the rainy season with religious intensity. AMD 35. Renault. The AMD 35. Renault reconnaissance vehicle featured a distinctive two-man turret and thin armor optimized for speed over protection. Colonial gendarmes used these for security patrols between major cities. Anything resembling off-road capability vanished in Southeast Asian terrain. White Lafayette. The White Lafayette armored cars were American-designed vehicles from the previous decade, now relegated to colonial police work. Their vintage chassis wheezed under equatorial heat, while mechanical parts corroded faster than maintenance could address. These machines represented France's colonial priorities perfectly. Old equipment for a forgotten theatre. Lafley. Lafley armoured trucks served gendarmerie units with rudimentary armour plating over commercial truck frames. These weren't combat vehicles, but intimidation tools for controlling colonised populations. Their thin protection stopped rifle rounds but offered nothing against determined resistance. Berliet VUDB. The Berliet VUDB brought slightly heavier armament with its 37mm gun mounted on a truck chassis. French colonial forces used these for convoy escort between Hanoi and Saigon. Reliability proved disastrous, crews frequently abandoning broken-down vehicles along route colonial. In September 1940, Japan moved into Indochina, not with a bang, but with a bureaucratic stamp. French colonial administrators signed agreements under Tokyo's polite threat of overwhelming force. Within weeks, Japanese armor began arriving at Haiphong Harbor, light tanks specifically designed for exactly this kind of terrain. While France's cast-offs rusted in their garrisons, Japan brought machines engineered for rice paddies, narrow jungle trails, and the brutal humidity that had destroyed French equipment. This was occupation armor, built light and mobile for an empire stretched across the Pacific. Let's begin with the light tanks that formed Japan's primary occupation force. Type 95 Heigo. The Type 95 Heigo became the face of Japanese armor in Indochina, its compact hull and 37mm gun, perfect for intimidation patrols. Weighing only 7 tons, it maneuvered along rice paddy dikes, where heavier French tanks would have sunk. Crews operated in sweltering heat, but the design anticipated tropical deployment from conception. Type 97 Chiha. The Type 97 Chiha represented Japan's standard medium tank, though deployed sparingly in Indochina's garrison role. Its short-barreled 57mm gun and riveted armor were obsolete by European standards, but adequate for colonial occupation. The 15-ton frame still proved more mobile than France's abandoned R-35s. Type 97 Chiha-Kai. The Type 97 Chiha-Kai improved the original with a high-velocity 47mm gun in a larger turret. This upgraded version appeared in limited numbers, reserved for units expecting potential conflict with Chinese forces along the northern border. Its better gun made little difference in occupation duties. Type 89 Aigo. The Type 89 Aigo was Japan's older medium tank, already outdated when deployed for garrison work in 1941. Its petrol-electric transmission created maintenance nightmares in tropical conditions. Most sat in motor pools, forgotten, relics guarding forgotten colonies. Next up are the tankettes and miniature reconnaissance vehicles Japan scattered across Indochina. Type 94 Tankette. The Type 94 Tankette was barely a tank, more like an armored tractor with a machine gun. Its exposed suspension and thin armor made it vulnerable to everything, but it required minimal maintenance. Japanese commanders used these for courier runs between occupation headquarters. Type 97 TK. The Type 97 TK represented Japan's attempt at an airborne tankette, light enough for potential parachute deployment. Its 37mm gun packed surprising punch for a 4-ton vehicle. Few reached Indochina, but those that did served reconnaissance roles along coastal roads. Continuing with Japan's specialized armor designed for Southeast Asian operations. Type 2 Kami. The Type 2 Kami was an amphibious tank with detachable pontoons, perfect for river crossings throughout the Mekong Delta. Its bizarre appearance, festooned with flotation devices, made it resemble a tank wearing water wings. Japanese forces used these primarily for coastal security operations. Type 1 Honi. The Type 1 Honi, self-propelled gun, mounted a 75mm howitzer on a Chiha chassis with minimal crew protection. Rare in Indochina, these appeared only near major bases where artillery support might prove necessary. The open-topped fighting compartment offered crews no protection from monsoon downpours, but as 1945 arrived, Japan's empire was crumbling. These occupation tanks would soon face enemies from every direction, and the chaos would be spectacular. When Japan surrendered in August 1945, Vietnam didn't get peace. It got 4 armies and a tank museum's worth of confusion. Chinese nationalist forces poured across the northern border to accept Japanese surrender, bringing American Lend-Lease equipment worn from years of fighting their own civil war. British and Indian troops landed in Saigon to stabilize the south, their Commonwealth armor painted for Burma now patrolling French colonial boulevards. The Viet Minh declared independence while everyone else brought tanks. This was the chaotic interregnum where power vacuums filled with steel and nobody agreed who was in charge. Let's begin with the Chinese occupation forces that controlled everything north of the 16th parallel. M3A3 Stuart. the M3A3 Stuart arrived with Chinese forces as American Lend-Lease equipment. Its welded hull and 37mm gun showing hard use from years of Chinese civil warfare. These light tanks rumbled through Hanoi's streets in late 1945, theoretically accepting Japanese surrender, but mostly intimidating everyone else. Chinese crews operated them with minimal maintenance, knowing their occupation was temporary. M4 Sherman. The M4 Sherman appeared in limited numbers with better equipped Chinese units, its 75mm gun and 30-ton presence representing real armoured power. Most remained near the Chinese border, too valuable to risk in Vietnam's political chaos. Their diesel engines proved more reliable than gasoline variants in tropical heat. Universal Carrier. The Universal Carrier came via British supply to Chinese forces, its open-topped frame carrying supplies and infantry. These versatile tracked vehicles adapted well to Vietnamese roads where larger tanks struggled. Chinese soldiers crammed 8 men into carriers designed for 5. Next up are the wheeled reconnaissance vehicles Chinese forces used for rapid patrols. Marmon Harrington Armoured Car. The Marmon Harrington Armoured Car was an American-built design supplied through Lend-Lease channels, featuring a turret-mounted machine gun. Its 4-wheel drive proved marginally useful on monsoon-damaged roads. Most broke down within months, abandoned along Highway 1, continuing with British and Indian forces that occupied southern Vietnam from Saigon to the Mekong Delta. M3 Lee. The M3 Lee medium tank looked absurd with its hull-mounted 75mm gun and awkward riveted profile, already obsolete by 1945 standards. British forces deployed these cast-offs to Indian units occupying Saigon, where their presence mattered more than combat capability. Viet Minh fighters learned to fear the 75mm blast despite the tank's ungainly appearance. M3 Stuart. The M3 Stuart served British forces identically to Chinese variants, but with Commonwealth crews and better maintenance discipline. These light tanks patrolled Saigon's outskirts, protecting French civilians awaiting official military return. Their tracks chewed up colonial roads, never designed for armoured traffic. Humber Armoured Car. The Humber Armoured Car represented Britain's standard reconnaissance vehicle, featuring a 2-pounder gun and reliable armour protection. Indian crews operated these during tense patrols through hostile neighbourhoods. Its wheeled design, limited effectiveness, once monsoon season transformed streets into swamps. Daimler Armoured Car. The Daimler Armoured Car brought heavier armament with its 2-pounder gun in a cramped 3-man turret. British officers preferred these for urban peacekeeping, where firepower mattered more than mobility. Several were captured by Viet Minh forces and disappeared into the countryside. AEC Armoured Car. The AEC Armoured Car was a massive 6-wheeled beast, mounting a 3-inch howitzer, designed for desert warfare but deployed anyway. Its weight destroyed Vietnamese bridges, while its gun proved excessive for peacekeeping duties. Crews appreciated the armour, but cursed the maintenance requirements. Finally, we have the mismatched equipment returning French forces scrounged from American supplies and captured Japanese stocks. M5 Stuart. The M5 Stuart became France's primary light tank upon return, supplied by American forces eager to support colonial restoration. These replaced the pathetic Renault R35s rotting in motor pools since 1940. French crews learned American gunnery on machines still smelling of Cosmoline. M8 Greyhound. The M8 Greyhound armoured car featured a 37mm gun and excellent road speed, perfect for highway patrols between major cities. Returning French forces received dozens of these, immediately deploying them against Viet Minh roadblocks. Its 6-wheeled design handled Vietnamese roads better than tracked vehicles. Type 95 Hay-Go. The Type 95 Hay-Go now served whoever captured Japanese motor pools first, sometimes French forces, sometimes local militias, occasionally Viet Minh units. These ubiquitous light tanks became the universal surplus item of 1945 Vietnam. Every faction wanted them because every faction needed armour. By late 1946, one thing was clear. The French were back, they brought American steel, and the jungle was about to swallow it all. By late 1946, World War II was over in Vietnam. But the tracks these tanks left in the red mud were just the opening act. French forces consolidated control with American equipment, armor designed to fight Nazis in Normandy, now patrolling rubber plantations and colonial outposts. These weren't combat operations against Axis powers. This was peacekeeping that was actually counterinsurgency, garrison duty that was actually the beginning of another war. The jungle watched these tanks with patient malevolence, knowing it would claim more of them in the coming decade than Japan ever could. Let's begin with the light tanks that became France's standard armor for the transition period. M5A1 Stuart. The M5A1 Stuart served as France's primary light tank throughout late 1945 and 1946. Its improved turret and 37mm gun adequate for intimidation patrols. American supply chains kept these running better than any pre-war French equipment. Viet Minh ambushes would soon teach crews that armor meant nothing against jungle patience. M24 Chaffee. The M24 Chaffee arrived in small numbers during early 1946, representing America's latest light tank design with its 75mm gun. French crews appreciated the firepower upgrade, but cursed the complex transmission and tropical heat. This tank would become legendary in the coming Indochina War. M4A1 Sherman. The M4A1 Sherman appeared in limited deployment as France tested medium armor for jungle operations. Its 30-ton weight destroyed colonial bridges never engineered for armored warfare. Most remained near coastal cities, where logistics could support their fuel consumption. Next up are the wheeled reconnaissance vehicles that dominated highway security operations. M8 Greyhound. The M8 Greyhound became ubiquitous en route colonial, its 37mm gun and 6-wheeled speed perfect for rapid response. French commanders deployed these against roadblocks and ambush sites with increasing frequency. The distinction between peacekeeping and warfare blurred with every patrol. M20 Armored Utility Car. The M20 Armored Utility Car was the Greyhound's turretless cousin, used for command and reconnaissance roles. Its open-topped design left crews vulnerable to overhead fire from jungle canopy. Several disappeared completely during night patrols, crews and all. M3A1 Scout Car. The M3A1 Scout Car featured an open-topped hull with machine gun mounts, designed for quick reconnaissance patrols. Its thin armor stopped rifle rounds but nothing heavier, making crew exposure a constant anxiety. These operated in pairs, never alone, continuing with the infantry support vehicles that moved troops through increasingly hostile territory. M3 Half-Track. The M3 Half-Track became France's primary infantry transport, its combination of wheels and tracks handling Vietnamese roads adequately. Crews welded additional armor plates after the first ambushes revealed deadly vulnerabilities. The tracks kept rolling deeper into country that remembered colonialism and wanted blood. M8 HMC. The M8 HMC self-propelled howitzer mounted a 75mm gun on a light tank chassis with minimal protection. French artillery units used these for fire support during village pacification operations. Its open fighting compartment offered no defense against monsoon or mortar fire equally. Dodge WC series. The Dodge WC series armored trucks served logistics and military police roles with improvised armor welding. These weren't combat vehicles, but became targets anyway, drivers learning to fear curved roads. Every supply convoy required armored escort by mid-1946. The seeds of the next war were already sprouting through the cracks in these tank treads, watered by blood and fertilized by colonial arrogance that refused to die.